So now we're trying to find the solutions of a rational equation, but we're going to use a graphing calculator to help us solve it. So before we do that, let's solve this the regular way. So because I have a fraction equal to a whole number, I can turn the whole number into a fraction by putting it over 1. When I have a fraction equal to a fraction, I can cross multiply. So I would have x plus 2 equals 5 times 1 minus 2x. So this would be x plus 2 equals 5 minus 10x. And then we're just going to solve this. So I'm going to add 10x to both sides. So I end up with 11x plus 2 equals 5. And then I subtract 2. 11x equals 3. Divided by 11. So x equals 3 over 11. So this is the answer that I get. We can check this using a calculator. So if we go to a graphing calculator and we go to y equals, if you type in the left side of the equation into y1 and the right side of the equation into y2 and you graph it, you can find their point of intersection, which is going to be the solution. So the left-hand side of the equation is x plus 2 divided by 1 minus 2x. You want to make sure you put them in parentheses so that the calculator knows that the x plus 2 goes together and the 1 minus 2x goes together. And then the other side of the equal sign we had was a 5. So we plug that in and we hit graph. So when we go to graph this, you'll see that we have the blue line is the first function. That's the x plus 2 over 1 minus 2x. And this red line is our second function. And this is 5. So it's just the horizontal line at y equals 5. Now to find where they intersect right here. But to find it, we can use the intersect in the calculator. So we're going to hit the second button. And we're going to hit the trace button. When it brings us to the calculate menu, we're going to go down to number 5 for intersect. So right now it's highlighted on the blue graph, and this is the piece we want to look at. So there's two parts to the blue. There's this piece, and there's this piece. We don't want our blinker to be down here, because it's not the part that's intersecting. This blue piece is intersecting with this red. So we're going to hit enter. Now it jumps to the red line, so we're going to hit enter again. It's going to say guess, and we're going to hit enter one more time. When we do that, it tells us that the x value is 0.27, which is the same thing as 3 over 11. So x equals 0.27. So we're going to look at another problem. So again, first let's solve it with math, and then we'll use the graphing calculator. So again, we can say this is like 3 over 1. So we're going to multiply 3 times x minus 4 equals 23. So this is going to give us 3x minus 12 equals 23. We're going to add the 12. So we get 3x equals 35. And then divide by 3. So x equals 35 over 3. And if we convert this to a decimal, this is going to give us 11.67. So this is what our intersection should be. So we can check this with the calculator. So if we go back to our calculator and we put the left-hand side of the equal sign first for y1, that was 3. And then for y2, we had 23 divided by x minus 4. So again, we want to keep the x minus 4 in the parentheses. So when we go to graph this one, again, blue is going to be our first function, so that's the y equals 3 line, which is a horizontal line right through 3. The red function is the second function, which is the 23 divided by x minus 4. So when we look at this, we can see that it's going to intersect over here. I can change my window a little bit. I'm just going to change my x value to be a little bit higher. Change that to 20 instead of 10. So we can see what this looks like. And again, there's going to be two sections of the red function, so you want to make sure that when you use your intersect feature that you have the correct piece of the red function with the little blinking thing on it. So here, we know that it's intersecting over here. So again, I'm going to hit second, and I'm going to hit trace, and I'm going to go to number 5 for intersect. And when I look at this, okay, the blue line is fine, so I want that. And then the red line, I'm going to hit the right button. Oh, there it is. So here it's coming down. It just takes a while for it to come. But on the calculators that we'll use in class, it should be not as long as this. But you want to make sure that the blinking thing is not on this side, that it's up here on the right side. Which it is, it just takes a very long time to come down. There he is. Okay, so as long as we see him over there, that's good. We can hit enter. And then we're going to hit enter again when it says guess. And it's telling us that the intersection is 11.67, which is what we got before. Okay, and then this last one again, so let's check it with regular math. So we can cross multiply. So we're going to get 2 times x minus 3 equals 7 times x plus 4. We're going to distribute, so 2x minus 6 equals 7x plus 28. I'm going to subtract the 2x. So negative 6 equals 5x plus 28. And then I'm going to subtract 28. So I get negative 34 equals 5x. And then divide both sides by 5. So x is negative 34 over 5. And if we translate this to a decimal, it's going to be negative 6.8. So now we're going to check with the calculator to make sure that we get negative 6.8. So again, we're going to plug the first fraction, so the ones to the left side of the equal sign is going to go in for y1. So that's 2 divided by x plus 4. So the x plus 4 we're going to put in parentheses. Then the second function, we're going to put in the y2, and that was 7 divided by x minus 3. Okay, and we're going to hit graph. And my windows are still the same from the last question, but we can change it back to standard or leave it this way. It doesn't really matter. But we can see where the intersection is already. So the intersection's happening over here somewhere. So when we go to find the intersection, we want the blinking thing to be in the third quadrant. So we're going to hit second trace. We're going to go to number 5 for intersect. So the first thing we see is the blue one. So we don't want to use the blue piece that's up here. We want to use the blue piece that's down here. So we're going to move it left until that goes to the bottom section. So now I have the blinking thing on the bottom half of this blue, because that's where it's intersecting. So I'm going to hit enter. And then I want also the red piece to be on this bottom half. So I'm going to hit enter and enter again for the guess. And it tells me that my intersection is negative 6.8, which is exactly what we had found when we solved it using math.